The Legend of Zelda. Echoes of Wisdom brings the series back to a top-down perspective, but it's far from your typical installment. This time, Princess Zelda takes the lead, and instead of just hacking away with a sword, you'll be using echoes, copies of items or monsters, to tackle puzzles and fight enemies. This new approach might leave you feeling a bit confused at first, especially with all the different tools you have at your fingertips. But don't worry, we've got some handy tips to guide you as you work to rescue Link and save Hyrule. One of the first moves you'll pick up in Echoes of Wisdom is spinning, and it's super useful. It's not just for clearing out grass and breaking pots, it's also a great way to speed up your movement. Spinning is quicker than walking and even helps you move faster in water. Plus, it can extinguish flames, deflect some weak projectiles, and help you outrun tougher foes that pop out of rifts. Making smoothies in the game is like a simpler version of the cooking system from Breath of the Wild. You can mix any two ingredients to whip up a smoothie, which can heal you and give you some cool bonuses like weather resistances and other buffs. Once you create a smoothie for the first time, the vendor will remember it so you can easily check your recipes if you want to make more of a specific one. A solid healing combo is milk and salt, which might sound pretty gross to drink, but in Echoes of Wisdom, it gives you sword fighter energy and a nice boost of hearts. If you're feeling adventurous with your smoothies, make sure to visit the Gerudo Desert early on. There's a tent by the oasis in the middle of the desert where they're researching tough mangoes. For just 10 rupees, you can play a mini-game where you spin around and collect mangoes, and you get to keep some of them. Blending these mangoes with another ingredient gives you a 30% damage reduction buff, which is super handy when you're just starting out with only a few hearts. Ropes are these green, snake-like enemies that charge at you when they spot you. Since Zelda can't dodge side to side, the best way to avoid their attacks is to jump over them. Maybe that's why they're called ropes. In Echoes of Wisdom, the camera usually has a fixed angle, but there are a couple of extra controls you can use. If you click in R3, the right stick, the game switches to a top-down view, which can help you spot hidden objects. You can also move the right stick to slightly adjust the camera away from your character, letting you scout out new areas before diving in. The bind ability is one of the first non-echo skills you unlock. It's mainly designed to help you move big, heavy objects, but it's also super handy for getting around and in fights. For navigation, you can attach yourself to moving things, or even your own creations, and go along for the ride. In combat, you can pin down fast enemies, making it easier for your echoes to land hits, or you can toss them over water or off a cliff for an instant win. When it comes to getting around, there are a few early game echoes you definitely want to snag to make life easier. The Crawdilla, a black spider, hangs out in Suthorn Prairie right after you close the first big rift. If you bind to it after placing it and follow its movements, you can climb most cliffs. The flying tile is located in a cave in the northwestern Gerudo Desert. You'll need to climb a cliff to get there, and it can help you step up, cross gaps, and even attack foes. The Buzz Blob in the Farron region attacks right when you summon it and sends out a damaging shockwave when it gets wet, making it a solid choice in battles. If you're low on sword fighter energy, just find the nearest rift and look for a black blob coming out of it. This blob will chase you down and spawn some rift enemies that drop sword fighter energy when you take them out. They respawn pretty quickly, so you can always top off your energy before diving into your next challenge. Sleeping in a bed is a great way to slowly regain your hearts, letting you heal up between fights without using any items. Since you can create a bed whenever you want, it's super convenient, even if it takes a bit of time. You can speed things up a little by getting out of bed as soon as you heal, and then hopping back in, which is a bit quicker than just lying there until you're fully healed. At the beginning of The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, Zelda can only carry one piece of gear. Once you gather enough rupees, head over to the Great Ferry located in the center of Lake Hylia. You can unlock up to 4 extra slots for equipment. The first one costs 100 rupees, the second 300, the third 500, and the last one 1,000. The more gear you have, the more bonuses you can enjoy. You can find Lake Hylia just east of Suthorn Prairie, with the Great Ferry tucked away in a cave right in the middle of the lake. While it might be tempting to smash pots for rupees, they serve other purposes too. You can actually hide inside pots to sneak past enemies or take a quick break from fighting. Plus, jumping out of pots gives you a slightly higher jump than usual, making them handy for reaching those tricky spots. Another way to get to higher places is by switching to sword fighter mode. In this form, your jump height increases significantly compared to Zelda's regular jump, making it an easy way to access high platforms if you don't have an echo for that situation. The pea-hat echo, which looks like a round plant with 4 green leaves on its head, has a cool ability you can use. It can spin when placed in a grassy area, effectively clearing the grass for you. This saves you time compared to doing it yourself. You'll frequently run into flying enemies in Echoes of Wisdom that like to dive bomb you from above, which can be pretty annoying. Luckily, there are a couple of straightforward ways to handle them. If you hold a flaming object or a monster echo, the dive-bombing enemy will fly through the flames and catch fire, taking a lot of damage or even getting defeated. You can also summon a monster to attack and use bind on the dive-bombing enemy when they come down, keeping them in place for your echo to strike. The sign echo shows up pretty early in the game, and while it might not be super useful, it does have its moments. Whenever you make a sign, it usually has some text on it. Most of the time it's just nonsense, but sometimes you'll get actual game tips that can help you out on your adventure. You can spot crows in the Gerudo Desert, and these annoying little guys come with a cool bonus when you use them in combat. The neat thing is that when they attack an enemy for the first time, that enemy drops a bunch of rupees. Plus, if the crows are close enough, they'll even scoop up the rupees for you, which is a sweet way to rack up some cash. Zelda doesn't really need a glider like in Breath of the Wild because you can turn any flying echo into a makeshift glider. Just create a flying echo, whether it's a winged one or even a pea-hat, grab it, and jump off a cliff. Just remember, this trick doesn't last forever, so focus on getting to the ground rather than flying far. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more randomness.